Today I'm going to show you how I make kindling with my Barreto log splitter. I obtained this log splitter through Home Depot. They retired it from their rental fleet. These aren't available for the general consumer to purchase unless you find somebody, a rental shop that's retiring it from their rental fleet. I've already made a bunch of kindling. Some of the ways I do this, I would not recommend trying it on your own unless you have a lot of log splitter experience, but even then it's probably not the safest way that you'll see how I operate this, but I've got a lot of experience. Anyway, that's my disclaimer. Don't try this at home. I always wear steel toe boots, face shield, mask, all that good stuff. Heavy leather gloves. Those gloves are pretty much worn out, as you can tell. I've been doing a lot of yard work, cleanup, getting ready for winter. And this is one of my last projects, is to take the cedar rounds that I have and split it up into kindling. There's my up-down lever. Ram down when you push the lever down, ram up when you push the lever up. It also locks in the up position, so if you push this all the way up, the ram will go all the way up until it stops. Basically, it retracts all the way. You'll notice that this does have a license plate on it. When I bought it from Home Depot did have the Washington State title, so I took that to my local Department of Licensing office and transferred the title to my name. Because I never use this taking it places or going anywhere with it, I opted not to put a new license plate on it, so that's still the old license plate from when Home Depot had it. If I were to want to tow this around, then I would just go to the Department of Licensing and get a new plate and new license tabs issued. If you look just to the right of the license plate, you'll see a bracket with two slotted holes welded onto the I-beam. There's one of those on each side of the main beam. What that's for is to mount a little cradle, a two-piece cradle that is meant to hold a log in place when you're using the log splitter in horizontal mode. Because I never used this in horizontal mode, I took those off right after I bought the log splitter. What I've been able to determine by looking at Home Depot's used tools section that's part of their rental department is that they surplus things out, like this big power equipment, every 5 years. And this particular log splitter, at the time that I bought it, I knew about it because a friend of mine bought one. And how I stumbled across this one was walking out of the store, and I saw it in the big exit vestibule area chained up to a pole. And I called my friend and talked to him about it, and then I ended up buying it. The friend of mine that bought one had to rebuild his because when he bought it, the hydraulic pump in the engine had been stolen off of it, and that's actually how he ended up being able to buy it. He did a bunch of research with some people that were familiar with hydraulic flow and pressures and found a pump on northerntool.com that was rated at a higher flow rate than the original pump. So that's what I also ended up doing, and that increased the speed quite a bit. As you can see, it takes a lot of eye-hand coordination to operate the way that I do. Oftentimes when you have a log that has a knot in it, the log's going to shoot apart when you split it, like you saw happen a few times with some of these pieces. With bigger logs, like stuff I've got under the tarp here, It's actually quite a bit of force behind some of those when they shoot apart. That's one of the reasons I wear steel toe boots. Protect my feet. I've got another sizable chunk of cedar there that I need to split, or actually cut into shorter pieces before I split it. I'm going to use this Steel MS250 chainsaw. I've had this since about 2002, I think. It's been quite a little workhorse of a saw. I've done a lot of firewood cutting with it. It's been a really awesome saw. Splitting up my cedar into little short pieces of kindling is something new this year. It's actually kind of time consuming and hard on my back, leaning over so far with the logs being so short. So I'm going to go back to splitting my 16-inch rounds. That's what I've always split up for kindling before. I'll do a little bit different perspective this time. Just above the little 45-mile-per-hour speed limit sign, there's a pin with a handle on it. If you slide that pin over to the right, that disengages it from a hole on the main beam, and then that lets you pivot the main beam down into the horizontal position. In other words, that pin locks it into the vertical position. There are a couple of things that I do when I operate this log splitter. For example, when I'm splitting kindling and I'm moving the ram up and down and holding on to the little pieces, whenever that ram is moving, I never take my eyes off of my left hand. And you'll also notice that my right hand almost always stays on the handle, although it's not shown here, but you can see if you watch closely that the ram goes up just as soon as I finish splitting. So what I'm doing there is I'm not letting the ram go all the way back up. I only let it go up as far as it needs to clear the piece of wood, and then I bring it back down. And I don't let it go all the way down. I just bring it down far enough to split the wood and get it opened up into two pieces. So as long as my right hand is on that handle controlling that ram and the ram is moving, I never take my eyes off of my left hand while I'm holding on to a piece of wood that I'm splitting. These log splitters have a vehicle identification number tag, much like a cargo or utility trailer has, and that's also stamped with the build date. Like I had mentioned earlier, Home Depot seems to surplus everything out after 5 years, so looking at the build date, then you would have an idea of when one might be getting close to being ready to be retired from the rental fleet. The way to find these for sale is to go to Home Depot's website, and then up at the top of the page over towards the right, click on Tool Rentals, and then once you're in the Tool Rentals section, go over to the left side of the page. You'll see a big listing of links. Scroll almost all the way down to the bottom and look for the item that says Used Tools for Sale. Click on that, and then it brings you up to another page where you enter in your zip code, and then once you click search, then it brings up all the stores in your area and lists all the different tools that are for sale. And it actually lists all the tools by category, and then it shows you which store they're at. And then you can also narrow down your search for a given category of tools by clicking the little check boxes over on the left side of the page. If you've got any questions about the log splitter, be sure to post those in the comments below, and also subscribe to my channel and then hit the bell notification icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. And thanks for watching.